Do you have any advice for how to improve my ability to estimate the amount of time needed to complete tasks and priorities? What practices can I do to develop this skill? Most of the time, I underestimate that time and I have to change my schedule continuously while my tasks are not getting done. This can be quite discouraging. How do I improve this?
So we need to know that there's a thing in cognitive science called the planning fallacy. It is a well-documented fallacy of thinking, or just sort of, I like to call it bug, in every single human being's brain software. And it causes us to overestimate how much we can do and underestimate how much time things take. So we're always going to have a fudge factor. It's just a question of how significant that fudge factor will end up being. And so I find that the fudge factor sort of exists on the small, medium, and large scale. So on a small scale, we tend to have a large positive fudge factor, meaning if you say something's going to take a minute, it is very likely it could take 50 minutes or 90 minutes even. And so you could have a 5x to 9x fudge factor on a scale of things that take less than an hour. On the medium scale, say things that would take 4 or 5 hours, I can find that it could often be 2 to 3x, somewhere in that range. Meaning, if you say it's going to take an hour, it could easily take 3 to 4 hours. Not always, I'm not saying all the time. I'm just saying as a general, I think most people would nod their head and say, yeah, I've had things that I said would take an hour. They actually took 3 to 4 hours. It could easily take 3 to 4x the amount of time in order to get that done. So on that medium scale, you could think 3 to 4x, but here's where things really start to twist your noodle. When you get way out there into 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, it actually flips. And actually what can happen is you say to yourself, this will take 3 months, it could actually be done in a month. Or this would take me 6 months, it could actually be done in 3 months. So what I find is that often when I look out into really long time periods, what I think will take me a really long amount of time, once I actually start getting started with it, actually flips. So just understand what you really want to do is you want to start measuring your fudge factor. But I want you to recognize that this is not one number that applies across small, medium, and large amounts of time. You would really want to look for your fudge factor like on tasks that take like less than an hour. And the easiest way to do that is say, okay, make a prediction, track what it actually took, make a prediction, check what it actually took. And then once you have 10 to 20 of those, you've got a pretty good sense for your fudge factor. To recap what I just said, when you're looking for your fudge factor at the small level, you want to track 10 to 20 tasks, make a prediction, see what it actually happened, and then average that out. That'll give you a pretty good idea of your fudge factor. Same at the medium level. So look for tasks that, are between 1 to 3 hours, track 10 to 20 of them, predict, actual, average it all out. You'll get a pretty good sense of your fudge factor. And then even if you're really wanting to get a good sense, go out on things that you think would take 3 months, bigger projects. That takes you a little bit more time, but it also is very productive experience to say, how much, if I said it would take 3 months, when I really got down to it, how much did it actually take? That'll give you a good sense of your fudge factor. Now, I've been doing this for years, on and off, sort of like trying to rebalance. And I've gotten to a place where I'm actually really good now. And it's not because I don't have that, I call it the first voice. The first voice still says, it'll only take 10 minutes, but then I get that second voice that says, nah, man, it's probably gonna take a full hour. For every single one, I still get that first voice that gives me that over-optimistic estimation, but now I have a really good second voice that I've learned to listen to.
There's another leg to this on the topic of estimating how long things are gonna take. If you are the type of person who often finds that you have so much stuff on your to-do list, like a crazy amount, even just doing the estimation part is very eye-opening. This is something I did a couple of months back when I just found myself with like a crazy amount of stuff on my to-do list. I had like a day of work planned out. I had like 13 things on my to-do list, but some of them were quite small. And I was like, you know what, it's fine. And then I was like, actually, okay, it's like 9:30 a.m. already. Can I just be real with myself for a minute? And I went through every single one and put like how long I thought it would take. And when I added all that time up, it was like a 13-hour day. I was like, it's already 9:30 in the morning. What do I think I'm doing?
Totally. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I was just talking with a client who's already been through the boot camp, and we were adding up her ideal day. And I started doing some math and I'm like, if you're waking up by 4, you've already gotten to an 8-hour day by 12:30. So that means if you work till 3, which is very common for her because she has to go pick up her kids at 3, you've now worked a 11-hour day. She's like, oh, well, maybe that's why I'm so tired. We have to respect and understand how blind we are to things that happen for ourselves. Got to get some humility around that. You really have to understand that we are deeply, deeply blind to things that happen to ourselves and for ourselves. And we often need those external reminders and things that can help us see ourselves through a different eye, a different lens. This is what's great about time and energy tracking. This is what's great about designing an ideal week and then going back and seeing how it happened, is that it almost gives you the ability to see yourself through an external lens.